Dom, tell us about the Bronx tale you really lived growing up in the Bronx, man.
The real Bronx tale from a mobster, not an actor.
You know, when you take a man's wind, does that sit on you? Does that forever sit on your conscience?
It didn't with me, and I don't want to seem cold-hearted, so I'm not. But these were people in the life. These were people that would have put a bullet in my head like that. So there was no innocent victims. So no, where I do have compassion, remorse, where I regret the mothers, the fathers, the children, the aunts, uncles, grandparents that had to suffer for their loved one's loss. That's where I have the empathy. But for the victims themselves, no, because they were stone cold killers themselves.
They were mutual combatants.
Correct.
In a war that you were fighting on the streets.
Absolutely.
We got Dominick Cicale. Big Dom, thank you for coming through, man.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
You think of the Bronx area, especially Arthur Ave, as being a Genovese-controlled area. Why did you not patch into the Genovese situation and you went with the Bonannos?
Originally, I was groomed by the Genovese. Big Ernie groomed me. I could do no wrong. I gravitated to him. Because when my father came home from jail, I could never do anything right in his eyes. I felt he didn't like me. He didn't care for me. There was an altercation I had on the street with one of my father's friends. I used to work for Big Ernie at his auto glass place. And in the interim during the day, he would teach me how to box, how to carry myself in the streets. And he really took a liking to me. And this one day, my father came into the auto repair place. We're working out. Ernie and myself were upstairs. Father walks in. And he's upset with me, and he starts going into me. And he said, well, when my friends see you, they're going to hurt you. So I said, well, they could try. I'm going to shoot them. You're not going to do anything, my father said. And I'll never forget this. Ernie stood up, finished doing his push-ups. He gets up. You tell all your friends, any of them put a hand on this kid, they're going to deal with me. And my father was taken back because this was my father's friend, Ernie. He said, I'm tired of this. This kid's with me. Anybody touches him, he could do whatever he wants in this effing neighborhood, he said. And if they have a problem with that, they go to harm him, they're going to deal with me. Okay, all right, all right. And I was like, yeah. I was happy when I heard that.
I mean, it's like you're the real life Colosimo, you know?
Basically, right.
You know,
I had the protection of a tough guy.
Big Ernie. And Ernie was a well-known player in the Genovese family.
Yes, he was. And at that time, I didn't realize it. Those old school guys will never tell you they're mafioso or who they are. And I wasn't privy to all that. I didn't care. To me, I was brought up in the streets as just handle your business. Something happens in the streets, it's going to end in the streets. And that was my mentality. And I treated everybody with respect. I treated people the way I would want to be treated. You cross that line, I'm going to come at you 10 times harder. And that's it.
Now tell us about this fight that occurred in front of a pizzeria. Guy comes through and shoots up the place, the crowd. You get hit in the ankle.
Yeah. There was a guy, Johnny Echoes. He was a big drug dealer back in the day with my father. My uncle, Pete Cicale, he was doing time in prison. His son, Guy, was having a neighborhood fight. We're in, I would say the Bruckner Boulevard, Frogs Neck area of the Bronx, Loretta's Pizzeria. It's going to be a neighborhood fight with Guy and Blaze Rodolfo. There might have been 75 to 100 of us. All of us, both sides. Everybody's hanging out. We're all from the same neighborhood. Girls are there. Everybody's there. So we're at the top of the hill by Loretta's. At the bottom, going towards where the water is, Guy pulls up out of his car, gets out, and he starts walking. Now, mind you, in that group where I was standing, there's Guy's family members there, girls, like everybody's there hanging out, waiting to see a one-on-one fist fight. Blaze starts walking towards him. Guy's walking. All of a sudden, Guy pulls out a gun and starts shooting. So I got hit in the ankle, went diving on the floor. Everybody scattered, guy left, and I'm bleeding. Somebody took a belt, wrapped it around my leg because the blood was gushing out. The girls were running around. We're going to tell the cops. We're going to tell the cops. I'm like, no, nobody say anything. We don't know who did it. Keep it like that. And lo and behold, I went to the hospital. Police tried questioning me. I said, I don't know who shot me. And I left it at that. And that was it. Went through 3 surgeries and almost lost my foot. Actually, when I came home from the hospital, there was a sit down. I was supposed to meet my father. And I actually sent somebody to tell my father, F you. It happened on the street. It's going to be finished on the street. Later on that evening, my father came looking for me. I was in the back of Hazel Towers where I lived, and I had a gun on me. I was looking for Guy. My father found me. I'm still on crutches, hobbling, and my father beat me from one end of the street to the next. Gun went out of my waistband, sliding across the floor, and I was pissed. I was like, well, I don't care what, you could beat me all you want. I'm killing him. If I see him, I'm killing him. And
did you ever find the guy?
No, I never found him. He knew I was after him. Actually, at Waterbury Park, his cousin Sal had passed the comment. I wound up grabbing his cousin Sal, and we had a fist fight. I wound up beating him up. So I was never able to find him, never got to him.
And who was he hooked up with, the Gambinos?
A Gambino crime family. The father was around them. He was around them. But at that time, we weren't really around anybody, so we were kids. But I was under the mindset that happened on the street, it's going to end on the street. He pulled out a gun for a neighborhood fight. Like, to me, there was no excuse. It wasn't like his life was in danger. He was getting jumped. It was going to be a one-on-one fight. To me, that was a punk move.
Right. Were you part of a street gang?
No, back in the days, the 40s, 50s, 60s, yes, there was a movie with the Warriors, the Wanderers. Those were street gangs from Fordham Road, Arthur Avenue. But in my day growing up, the gangs were non-existent.
It was just the neighborhood kids.
It was the neighborhood kids and then the mafia. I wasn't impressed. I wasn't a guy to hang out in social clubs, so I wasn't around that element, even though I was, because I was with Ernie, but he never portrayed himself as a mobster, just as a tough guy in the streets.
Mm-hmm. And Ernie had the auto glass business. What else was Ernie involved in?
At that time, auto glass, they had an Acura dealership in Westchester that just opened up, was around them. The brother had a carpet cleaning business, commercial, and that was it. So I knew him as a street guy who was a tough guy, respected, and that's what I wanted to be like.
Right. And when did you realize Ernie was a made guy? He was a somebody?
Oh, when I came home from prison afterwards. I was facing first-degree murder. My father's friend actually lied to the law enforcement, told them it was self-defense. Even though in a way it was self-defense, that murder itself wasn't self-defense. I should have been charged with second-degree murder. If I took my plea to manslaughter, received 7 years, I was out in 17 months.
Right. And that was the George Kehoe situation.
Yes, the George Kehoe murder.
Yeah. And so George was a biker from New Jersey, and you had some of your fellas jack him for about $180,000, right?
Guys came down from New York. They needed money. I knew he was a drug dealer. Easy score. So I set it up. I drove them to the location. They went upstairs. They robbed them. Nobody got hurt. Came back, took them to my house. We whacked up the money, and they went about the business. But George always blamed me for the robbery, which I never admitted to him I was involved. I always denied it.
But he knew.
Deep down, he knew. I worked out an arrangement with George later on where I still denied it. I said, George, I had nothing to do with it. However, how much did they take from you? So he said, $60,000. I said, you know what? Let's do business. I have connections in New York. You have connections in Florida. All the money from the sales, take the first $60,000 off the top. I had nothing to do with it, but take it. It'll make you feel better. He said, yes. I said, okay, take the money. Then from there on out, we can make a ton of money together. George agreed to it. But on 2 occasions, he's like, Dom, somebody owes me money out west. Come with me. And I'll do it. I said, nah, it's not for me. I wasn't comfortable with the story he told me. And then another time, he's like, Dom, let's go fishing. We'll go out to the Keys. Bring your wife. I'm like, nah, I really don't care for fishing. No, it's really quiet. And that's what, no.
You knew he was
I'm
going to
okay.
line you up. Yeah.
And then the last time was with my father's friends who he didn't know they were my father's friends. I went up to go collect money for an insurance guy. One of my father's friends and myself. My other father's friends stayed downstairs with George. And George asked him, do you know Dominick? He said, no, I'm just meeting him for the first time. He didn't say I'm his father's friend. So he says, why? George told him, well, Dominick robbed me and I'm looking to kill him. So the guy, Vinny, said, I would kill him, but I don't have a gun. George says, I have a gun. Lo and behold, I'm driving in the car. He gave him the signal. George passed him the gun. And Vinny obviously never shot me. He said, well, I saw a cop there on the corner. That's why I didn't shoot Dominick. So that night they told me. And we basically set George up to go to their motel room. Prostitutes were going to be there. I went home with my wife. I went home and got my gun with the silencer, changed clothes, screwed it on the gun, went back there, knocked on the hotel door. George answered. He was happy to see me. Little did he know that would be the last smile he had on his face when he opened up the door. I pushed him back, put the gun up, and he put his hands up. We took the 2 pistols off of him. He sat on the bed. We questioned him. And he said, no, I have no money. I said, George, I'm not here for money. Like, you were trying to kill me? No, I wasn't. His last words were, I gotta pee. He jumped up, bolted to the door. I turned around, I popped him in the back of the head. He went down. We put him in the bed. As they were leaving the room, because we went out to go get cleaning supplies now, so we had a body, I put another one in the back of his head. Came back to the hotel room. Motel room was on the 3rd floor. Sandy Shoes Hotel in Pompano Beach, right by the pier. Went home, got some shower curtains from the house, car cover, wrapped them up, taped them up. And then we took the body out. We made sure nobody was around. It was about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. Took the body down the tier of the hotel, the balcony, and dragged them down the steps right into the trunk of the car. And then we dumped them in Palm Beach County in a canal.
How did the authorities find that out?
When George and Vinny, they dropped off their bags, I dropped off mine. They never tied their bags. So when the garbage company came and they threw it in the dumpster, bags opened up, they saw bloody towels. They called the Broward County Sheriff's Office. They came with all the blood, and there was a card, Sandy Shoes Motel, the postcards that linked back to the hotel. And then they had vodka bottles, cigarette butts. I didn't smoke cigarettes. I wasn't drinking. It had Ernie and and Vinny Foresta's fingerprints on it. Came back later on, but they wound up arresting me a month later. So I went up to New York for some time. Came back down a month later. They charged me with accessory to after the fact. I go to make bail. As I'm waiting to make bail, they upped the charge to 1st-degree murder. So had the bail hearing. I had no record at that time. And this is going back in the 80s when you could get bail for a murder charge if they didn't have you to rights, which they didn't. Judge gave me bail, $75,000. As I'm out on bail, maybe about 2 or 3 weeks later, I heard Ernie got arrested in New York. So within about maybe 5 hours of his arrest, I get a phone call. My pager went off, go to a payphone, and they told me that Ernie was ratting.
Ernie from the Genovese? No, a different Ernie.
This is Ernie, yes. He was from the Genovese, but a different Ernie.
It wasn't your OG Ernie?
No.
Yeah.
This was Ernie Colazzo.
Okay.
So his father was a made man with the Genovese back in the day. Guy was a gangster, stone cold killer, this other Ernie Colazzo. He was also using heroin with my father, drugs. So I get the call. Law enforcement tells me right away, I'm like, I don't believe it, because that's just a setup. They said, Dom, you went back in the room to shoot him again in the head. Once they told me that, I knew Ernie was spilling his guts. To what extent, I didn't know. I didn't know he fabricated a lie to them. He told the truth, I killed him, but made up the lie it was self-defense. And I found that out at sentencing.
Where is Ernie Colazo today?
Ernie Colazo died of a drug overdose. My father said he gave him a hot shot of heroin.
Because he ratted on you.
Because he ratted. Do I believe it? Not really. I think Ernie just OD'd. And my father said he drove him around and made sure he was dead before the paramedics came. But my father wasn't a killer. He didn't have it in him. And I think he just used that as an excuse because I was upset with my father. How could you stay with this guy after he ratted on me? You know, I was still in jail. I came home. It would have just been one more person I would have killed if he didn't OD. When I came home, I was only out 4 months. DEA set me up with a case. While I was out 4 months, I picked up a half ounce of cocaine, try to hustle, try to make some money. And the cocaine I bought was total garbage. Garbage. I couldn't get rid of it.
Like baking soda.
Basically, 63% pure. Garbage. So I gave it to my co-defendant. I said, listen, if you could sell it, you could sell it. He calls me up one night, Dom, I have it sold. Okay. So I went to meet him to go get the money. I walked into the car with him. Right away, the guy in the front seat gave my co-defendant the money. My co-defendant gave him the coke. My co-defendant slipped me the money. Nobody saw that. And the agent said, oh, this is some good shit. Could I get 2 or 3 next week? And I'll bring the money. We left the vehicle. As soon as I left that vehicle, I told my co-defendant, the guy's a cop. Don't deal with him. He's a cop. Because I knew the cocaine was garbage. For him to say it was good was a lie. Lo and behold, my co-defendant kept on dealing with him for 2 or 3 months. There's no phone records. My co-defendant got his brother jammed up, and they wound up arresting me. When they arrested me, they said, just work with us. We won't even charge you. And I told them, I'm not a rat. We'll see. And they said, well, you're not getting out. This is not the state. This is the feds. Sure as shit, I didn't get out. Went to trial, 2-hour trial. And back then, I'll tell you how dirty the government was. My co-defendant cooperated. And I found this out later on. My co-defendant told them when he debriefed, Dominick had nothing to do with the conspiracy. It was Dominick's coke. The government never gave me that information. They never used my co-defendant to testify at trial. It was only the agent. Agent testified for about 45 minutes, said he never spoke kilos to me, never spoke price to me. He said, well, I assume Dominick knew what I meant. He was a supplier. They found me guilty. However, if the government would have gave me that Brady information, which they should have, of course, they're supposed to give me what my co-defendant stated, I beat the case because now I used their witness to say it was my cocaine, but there was no conspiracy because I told them they're cops. Don't do anything. And technically, my half ounce of cocaine only called for 6 months in prison.
Right. You end up now getting a federal case on top of the murder you're out for.
Yes.
Did that run concurrently?
No, I did my time for the murder. I went to state prison, did my 17 months. I was free. I was done. Did my state time. Now I'm living no parole. I had nothing. I was clean.
Wow.
And they said I was only out 4 months. And during those 4 months, I had gotten married with the girl who was corresponding with me while I was in state prison. And lo and behold, I mean, I caught 10 years for a crime I didn't commit.
And where did they send you to MDC?
Oh, I was in MCC Miami. Then after I was found guilty, I was sentenced. I went up to USP Lewisburg Penitentiary.
And when you hit that yard, was there a bunch of Italians there?
Yeah, a bunch of Italians. You had Herbie Sperling, Matty Madonna. There was Oscar Ansorian, a lot of powerhouse guys up there back at that time. And then from there, I went to Estelle, South Carolina, Talladega, Alabama, Allenwood, Schuylkill, Pennsylvania. I did the tour of the system. Again, I was in my 20s. So they would have female correction officers there. And, you know, I'm going to be me. I'm going to try to have sex. And, you know, I'm not gay. It's not my choice, my preference. But if there's a female officer, you get cozy with them. You start to get to know them. And I had my share of sex with different female officers while I was incarcerated. And so they gave me the diesel therapy. The majority of correction officers I got along with. You don't bother with me, I won't bother with you. I'm not into gambling, I'm not into drinking, I'm not into drugging. I like to eat and work out. So there'd be a group of us in my cell. We have an ice chest we'd make. We'd get styrofoam, tape, put a plastic liner in the styrofoam, garbage bags, and throw ice in there. It becomes an ice chest. So you have cops, they don't like you. They were the type of kids who got picked on in school. They get their lunch money taken. So they look to pick on guys like us. So this one guy, his name was Powell. I'll never forget him. Couldn't stand him. Shook down my room. All of a sudden, they locked me up. When the captain, I'm in segregation, which is SHU, it's locked down. Captain comes over to me. Cicale, come here. I go over the door. What's up, Cap? So I had a good relationship with him. He said, are you joking? I said, what are you talking about? It's only food. He said, but really? 2 dozen eggs, 60 pounds of pasta, tomatoes, onions, bacon, chopped meat. I said, and? He said, you had a store. I said, no, this was our food. We have to eat. So I said, look, Captain, let me ask you something. When you're home, you open up your refrigerator, you have food in there, right? This is my temporary home. This is my... He started laughing, shaking his head. Okay, you got me there. Remote control. Now, in the common area, we had TVs. The Italians have their TV. I said, let me ask you something. When you're sitting at home and you're on your couch, do you get up and turn the channel? He said, no. I said, neither do I. I use my remote control. He said, you're too much. I said, come on, Cap, let me out. He said, don't worry. When you see DHO, we'll let you out. And that's what he did. But, you know, I made the best out of a bad situation. And that was it. But
You were working out.
I was working out like a dog 2 times a day, minding my own business. We'd worry about what we're eating the next night or during the day. And it was nice. It's, you know what, jail, people think it's hard, it's difficult. Yeah, if you're doing drugs, you're gambling, you're messing around with gay people, that you're involved in that. But if you're minding your own business, doing the right thing, it's easy. It's hanging out every day. You're playing softball, you're playing basketball, you're playing cards with each other. You're eating, you're watching movies together. It's just like socializing, like being in the streets. The only difference is there aren't women, but in my case, I had the women correction officers I was corrupting.
So, Dom, in the federal pen, are Italians considered whites among the inmates?
Well, the system itself categorizes us as white. However, inside, no, they say they consider us Italians. All the other ethnic racial groups consider us Italians. They separate us from the whites.
And who were you guys aligned with when shit went wrong?
The whites.
Okay.
Basically, the whites, Samoans, everybody, even the Hispanic. It's basically all of us against blacks if a riot breaks out.
And I heard the DC blacks were pretty heavy in the pen.
DC blacks had a lot going on, but they couldn't mess with the Aryans. We tried staying neutral with the Italians. And I hate to say this because it's my race, my ethnic. I'd say 80%, 85% of the Italians are just stone cold punks in prison. They're not tough guys. They look to mind their own business. They're soft. Me, I was young. I was wild. I didn't care. If I had to roll by myself, I rolled by myself. But I'll tell you one thing, the Irish out of Boston, they didn't play. A lot of them are bank robbers. And when I had my altercation in Lewisburg, they got my back like that. And I went out by myself. Like, I didn't go to my Italians. I didn't tell anybody. A few of them knew. We got your back. And one guy, Kevin Kelly, who was a Westie, he grabbed all the Italians and said, listen, this guy has a beef, meaning me. If you guys don't get his back, it'll be known from here to the West Coast throughout the system, you all dogged it. You left him alone. It died out. The guy who tried shaking me down didn't want to move forward. And, you know, I got away with that one because I would have wound up catching a life sentence in prison for killing him.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
So you guys basically stuck to your own, you did your own thing. It didn't get super political. but when it had to, you guys were ready to rock.
Well, I know I was ready to rock and roll. Usually the Italians will look to calm it down politically with their mouths.
Right.
Me, I was all about, let's go. Yeah. We'll go.
Now, when you got out of the federal system, did you hit the streets back in the Bronx?
I went to South Jersey, so I was in Philly, went back to the Bronx, and that was it.
Did you have a self-talk, I'm going to go legit, or did you just hit the streets?
No, I was actually going legit. I was working in the Tile, Marble, and Terrazzo Union, Local 7. It's funny because I was released from the halfway house in December of 1999. February of 2000, I was side by side with Vinny Basciano killing somebody.
You were fresh out, and they still made you put in work.
They didn't make me do anything. They mentioned there's a situation, and I was always gung-ho. I was loyal to my friends where, come on, let's do it.
So you always had your hand raised?
I always had my hand raised. There was nothing soft about me. And actually, Vinny wanted me to be the driver, and I told him, no, I'm going to be a shooter. Let's get this over with. So I knew it was a test. Matter of fact, I even told him, stay home, I'll take care of it. He said, no, I'm going with you. I lead by example.
You got your button at that time, right?
No, I got my button years later. He put me in I think 2001, but there was a moratorium for people who came out of prison who had a drug case. Oh. So I had to wait. Michael, the washwoman, that's why I call him a washwoman. To me, he's a punk. Mancuso, who's now the official boss of the Bonannos by default, he told Joe Messino that I had just gotten out of prison for drugs, and that kiboshed me getting straightened out in 2001.
You eventually get made by Messino, right?
No, I got made while Messino was in jail.
Okay.
Vinny pushed me in, and Tony Green, his name's Tony Urso, Joe Camarano Sr., they were running the crime family at that time. Vinny sponsored me, and they straightened me out.
Okay. And then you quickly built your own crew, right?
Well, I was Vinny's acting captain immediately because Vinny felt Dominick knows my every move. So he knows how to act. He knows what to do, and I don't have to groom anybody. Right. He already knows me. So they made me his acting captain. And then when they went away, Vinny became the acting boss, and then Joe Messino elevated me to an official captain.
Right. Have you heard of any mafioso getting made in prison, or is that a no-no?
I recently heard people got made in prison, but that's all BS to me. Yeah. How could you get made in prison? It makes no sense. Like when you come home, if it's your time, you get straightened out. Right. They say people got made, but I was never introduced to anybody who was made in prison. Never heard of it.
Right. Walk us through the ceremony. Was it the traditional saint in the card and the pinprick and the whole shebang, or was it?
We didn't have the saint with the burning. We had the pricking of the finger on the saint. The gun was on the table, knife, ceremony nice, sitting around at the table. You're told, we're here. This is the Bonanno Messino family. Messino was actually changing the name. He had that much power, that much respect out there. And it's just about this, from this day forward, you're starting a new life. Anything that happened in the past remains in the past. From this day forward, you're reborn. Your loyalties with this family. This family comes before your blood family and your biological family. And it's a whole crock of shit, to be honest with you. Because at the end of the day, when you're locked up, you're only as good as your last dollar you give. Everybody forgets you. There's no loyalty. And it's a crock of shit nowadays.
Right. But at the time, you felt this brotherhood that was unmatched, right?
Not really. I didn't want it. Yeah. Vinny asked me to help strengthen his position. I took it. I believed in him. And Vinny's words were always, you're loyal to the boss. I said, no, I'm loyal to you. You're my brother. I'm here for you. I'll die with you. I'll bleed with you. I'll kill for you. I don't know Joe like that. Like, how could I tell you? I'm lying to you if I say, oh, my loyalty's with Joe. So if Joe told me to kill you, I'm not killing you. I'm going to tell you, and we're going to kill Joe. Right. I'm loyal to you. You're my brother.
Right. Now, did you ever sit down at Joe Messina's house? Was he like,
No,
Like-
Joe was locked up.
Okay.
Joe got locked up, so I never got the opportunity to sit down to get to know Joe.
And how long was Joe doing on that bid?
Joe was arrested. He wasn't found guilty at that time.
So
He
he
was
beat the
fighting the
case.
case.
He beat it.
No, he was found guilty.
Okay.
So Joe wasn't coming home.
So Joe was doing all day, and you guys were out there still getting.
Out there running the crime family.
But
Correct.
Joe was sending kites.
When Joe was found guilty, that's when he cooperated. We didn't know it at the time. And Joe set up Vinny Basciano. Told everything. They locked Vinny up. The government was dirty with that one. They put Vinny and Joe on the same indictment. So that's having a spy in the enemy camp. They had co-defendant meetings together. He's already cooperating. You can't do that. That's illegal.
Right. Would you say in terms of all mafia rats that Joe Messina was the biggest as being a boss of a family, a crime family?
Joe is considered the last Don. Was Joe the most detrimental to people out there? No, because it was Sal Vitale. It was Mikey Scars. So many people told on Joe. Sal Vitale told on Joe. That was his brother-in-law. They came up together. Sal told all the sins. Joe set up the hit on the prosecutor to get Vinny in. Joe was a master manipulator. He knew, let me take the case to trial. If I'm found innocent, I walk. If I'm found guilty, I already orchestrated the hit on the prosecutor. I'm going to blame it on Vinny, and that'll get me my get-out-of-jail-free card. And that's what Joe did. Joe set
Weren't
him
you
up.
supposed to do the hit on the prosecutor?
Vinny and myself were going to do the hit on the prosecutor, but Joe never confirmed it. Joe sent word out, an innuendo, where Vinny told me, Dom, I think we're going to have to kill the prosecutor. I said, all right. So Vinny sent word through a different source to verify. Nothing ever came back. So we were just on standby. But Joe knew. Joe orchestrated that. Joe played Vinny like a fiddle and made the government believe it was Vinny and myself doing the hit, that Vinny had a hair up his nose with Greg Andres, and that wasn't the case. Vinny and myself were willing to rock and roll, take him out. If that's what the boss wants, we're going to move. And Vinny was no joke. Vinny had over a dozen bodies himself. Vinny was a one-man wrecking machine. He didn't care. When I wound up deciding to cooperate with the government, Joe wore a wire, and I don't use any excuse. I took the coward way out. Till this day, I'll say it. However, loyalty is a two-way street. I wasn't going to be another statistic. Joe wore a wire. Vinny's talking about me killing people while they're in jail. You're never supposed to mention anything. Then the boss, Michael, the washwoman out there, was the acting boss. I have a crew around me. I'm a captain. I had an acting captain. Michael Knows broke my whole crew up. I mean, Vinny's keeping all our sportsbook money. Michael Knows took all my street assets, everything from me.
And you had about $10 million.
I had about $10 million. What made things worse, Vinny wanted me to take the witness stand on our behalf because I had so many legitimate businesses. None of the cooperators knew me because we're from the Bronx. So Vinny felt it's not illegal being in the mafia. The acts are illegal. So they couldn't pinpoint me with joker poker, gambling, loan sharking. I had all legitimate businesses. So from there, he wanted me to take the witness stand on our behalf, but I would have been considered a rat in our circle.
Right. I mean, so the underboss, Vinny,
Right.
wanted you to...
Vinny was the boss, the acting boss.
Vinny was the acting boss. He wanted you to go on the stand and testify.
On our behalf that we're legitimate. We don't do anything
But that would
illegal.
have fucked your name off anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we would have been screwed. So I was damned if I did, damned if I didn't. Finally, I said, you know what? I'm done. I was done. You know what? For 4 years after I cooperated, I would have nightmares. And I'm not one to have nightmares. Nightmares so bad I wake up crying, like, because it tormented me that bad that I broke my code. But at the end of the day, I found God. I'm not religious, but I found God. And I learned to deal with it. I learned to accept it and move on with life. If Michael knows we did the right thing and Vinny didn't want me to take the stand that we're fighting the case, I hold it all day long. I'm sitting on $8 to $10 million. Now I know if I have a life sentence, my kids are set. I live like a king in jail for the rest of my life, and let's rock and roll.
But the family ends up taking your money anyway.
They took everything from me. They left me like a dog. Before I cooperated, they left me like a dog.
Yeah.
that even the Genovese crime family, I was with Quiet Dom, who I wrote a book, The Perfect Crime Family, and I dedicated it to Quiet Dom because he passed away. And he even told me, he said, it's an effing disgrace what they're doing to you. I was with him a year before I cooperated. He says, if Vinny he said, Dom, I'm letting you know now, if Vinny comes to this institution, it's no disrespect on you. I'm not acknowledging him because what they're doing to you on the street is a disgrace. They robbed you. They took everything from you. It's a disgrace, and I don't like it.
They put you in a trick bag.
Basically.
You were damned if you did, damned if you didn't. You would have had a bad name anyway if you took the stand.
Basically, yes.
So they were basically throwing you away.
They left me no choice. And you know what? My father was away with Big Ernie, too, in Fort Dix at the time. When they walked the track on my father's deathbed, my father said, even the big guy, and I knew who he was talking about, was sick that he told my father, what did they do to this kid? Meaning me. What did they do to him? This is not this guy's makeup. And they knew. They were, everybody was upset.
So there is no winners in this game, huh?
No, for the young kids out there, if I wasn't showed loyalty, stay away. There's too many things legitimate. Listen, you could get a job, get a trait. After 20 years, you retire. There's so much money out there with stocks, with investments, with crypto.
Yeah.
With crypto, you can make so much money legit, and you don't have to look over your shoulder. Right. The people you think your friends in your street aren't your friends. They will stab you in the back. Just in the mafia, same thing. People that get killed are your best friends walking you in to get killed, to get a bullet in the back of your head.
Crazy,
so
man.
Stay out of the life.
To the youngsters listening that think it's cool, they listen into the rap music, they're seeing all the cool movies. It's a treacherous life. And
listen, even the mob, I'm glad you mentioned that. Even the mob movies, they glamorize it.
Right.
What glamour is in? What glamour is in it when you're killing your own friend? When you steal, look at Sammy. He killed his own brother-in-law for money. He killed his best friend, Louis DeBono, for money to take their businesses. Come on.
Where's the honor in that, Don?
There is no honor. There is no honor.
So the whole thing is just bullshit.
It's a sham mockery, as they used to say back in the day. It's a sham mockery.
Yeah. It's a shame. But the good news is you're out the life. You're still doing great business. You have a story to tell. You know, The Perfect Crime Family is a great book. It goes into the in-depth. Everybody loves it. How's that selling online? Good?
It's selling good, I guess. I really don't look at the stats. But there's a lot of interest in it. A lot of people, there's talk maybe doing a movie, a series because of it, because it talks about the way the mafia should be ran, the way silence, when you kill somebody, never gets mentioned. You don't talk about things. You stay under the radar. That's what you know what? The mafia was created to help protect its own from outside corrupt forces. Yet through attrition, through the years, it became a corrupt force. And that's why I created official Crypto Nostra, the cryptocurrency. It's our thing. It's our group. We're a family. We leave no man or woman behind. We work with you people, and the crypto is the future.
Dom, you've always been a hustler. Since you mentioned you were shining shoes, believe it or not.
Hey, go get your shoe shine box. Give me a spit shine like in Goodfellas.
Right. I mean, you did anything, and you've always had a business mind.
Always to hustle, to make money. You know, I came from a middle-class family, but I always wanted my own money.
Right.
My mother raised me by herself with my grandparents. My grandparents moved to Florida. So I always wanted what the other kids had. So I had to go out and hustle. Here's a good concept. I'm 58 years old. And say I wanted to get involved in construction, but I was afraid. So instead I worked for a company. At my age now, I would turn around and say, I should have did it. I would have did it. I would have succeeded. But why not do it? Don't be afraid. Because when you get older, even if you fail, at least you can say you tried it. But you getting at a certain age and saying, I could have, I should have, you'll always regret. So don't worry about failing in life. Just pick yourself up, keep on going. You know how many times I failed? But you know how many times I succeeded, where my success outweighs my failures, and I have no regrets in my life.
the life you lived is so treacherous, and it must feel like a relief not to look over your shoulder anymore.
It is a relief.
Yeah.
Listen, I always look over my shoulder because you never know who might come after me because of what I've did. But I'm comfortable with myself. My house is cameraed out, alarm system, and I have pit bulls, you know, and I'm okay. I'm secure with myself. But like I tell everybody, even on my YouTube channel, if somebody comes, I'm well prepared. And if you miss, all bets are off. You're going to see the old Dominick come out, which this is the first time in my adult life. I'm out since 2013. I don't even have a parking ticket. I might be getting one now, but I don't have a parking ticket. And it was hard. That little devil inside me, he's in a cage deep down. And I keep him chained, locked away, because I'm a firm believer. When I do something, I'm 110% moving forward. And I made that change. But God forbid, somebody makes an attempt on me, my family, all bets are off.
Yeah. You mentioned you have a lot of nightmares. You know, when you take a man's wind, does that sit on you? Does that forever sit on your conscience?
It didn't with me, and I don't want to seem cold-hearted, so I'm not. But these were people in the life. These were people that would have put a bullet in my head like that. So there was no innocent victims. So no, where I do have compassion, remorse, where I regret, the mothers, the fathers, the children, the aunts, uncles, grandparents that had to suffer for their loved one's loss. That's where I have the empathy. But for the victims themselves, no, because they were stone cold killers themselves.
They were mutual combatants.
Correct.
In a war that you were fighting on the streets.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Dom, thank you so much, man, for coming through. How can our audience get a hold of you?
Well, they could go to Dom Cicale, CICALE.com. And we have a link page there. It goes to Mafia Roundtable on YouTube. We're getting ready to come out with a lot of stuff. OCN, which is official Crypto Nostra. People, if you have $5 or $10, remember, small investments can be big investments. Look at Bitcoin. Do you realize Bitcoin bought a pizza? It was used for a pizza. And at that time, Bitcoin was trading 0.004.
Man,
not even half a penny. So picture you put $50 into it, you'd be worth maybe 10, 20 million today. We have gambling coming out.
Allegedly.
No, it's coming out. It's coming out. You could trade coins with gambling. So we're going to have a gambling site. We're going to have OnlyFans site coming out. And we don't charge the women. Free. So we're not taking 20% from the women. All we ask is use OCN. They could come on and we protect them. It's mafia and we're a family. We all make money, we all eat together, and we leave no man or woman behind.
Now, what if someone defaults on one of your loans, Dom?
Then they default. We take legal action against them. Everything is legal.
So you're going to send an attorney, not a Goomba?
No, no Goombas. Those days are over with. But you know what? They're going through some serious credit checks. We're hiring a third party to see their history. They have to have a job. They have to have a paycheck, and we attach everything to the paycheck.
That's great. I'd love to see you go legit, Dom.
You have to. That's the way of the future. And for the kids out there, if I did it, you people could do it. You kids could do it. Do it the right way. And don't be afraid. Remember, if people don't laugh at your dreams aren't big enough. Go for it. Do what you have to do. And you will succeed the way I have succeeded my whole life. Thank you. And thank you for having me.
Thanks.